Good afternoon and welcome everyone. It's 2 o'clock, so I think we're going to start the webinar now. Thank you very much everyone for joining. Hope everyone's been keeping well and safe during these times. So today, my name is Armand. Obviously I represent Baker Baines. Today we're going to have a look at some of the new features in Revit 2021. So what's new in Revit 2021? So the agenda for today is who is Baker Baines. We're just going to quickly have a look at some slides about that, give you guys a bit of a better understanding of who we are, what we are about, so that you can know who we are. We like to have the family vibe going across with our customers, and we also like the fact that you need to feel that way, so that if there's anything you need to ask, you don't feel intimidated or anything like that. You can just get hold of us and we will always be more than happy to help you out. We're also going to have a look at some of the new features found in Revit 2021. We do not have time, unfortunately, to go through every single one, and it's just going to be a quick look at what there is, how it works, very quickly and briefly, and then we're going to move on to the next one. And then finally, we're going to have a look at the Baker Baines support if you ever need help, and questions and answers at the end. So for the questions, you're more than welcome to ask me questions. I will probably only be looking at them towards the end of the video, but if I do spot some in between, I'll try and remember to refer back to those at the end as well. Okay, so to start off, who is Baker Baines? Now, basically how we like to think of ourselves is that we are a business process improvement consulting firm. So we have a new IADOP consulting methodology, which we'll have a look at now, but we are there to solve our clients' issues and business problems and assist them in basically creating and designing a better world. And we are also an authorized Autodesk authorized service partner. We also work closely with Leica and Topcon. Basically, this is for the scan to BIM hardware, and whereas the Leica is more focused at some high quality interior scans, the BLK 360 for as builds or your basically as the the project is going on, like you can basically get scans of how, just to track that and make sure that everything's on schedule. Whereas the Topcon, they're obviously for the larger exterior scans, predominantly used on like open mines and stuff like that. We are also the second largest Autodesk Gold partner in South Africa, and we do manage over 5,000 licenses. So we do manage quite a few licenses. We're not the small kids on the block anymore. We are definitely getting right up there. Another thing we do is we believe in the blended learning approach, and that is not only classroom training, we also firmly believe that e-learning and online training is also a very useful tool, especially now in these times where we are kind of forced to stay at home and have some social distancing. Okay, just a quick browse over the through the different sectors that we work in. So obviously you can see there we do work in the build, civil, energy, manufacturing, and process and plant environments. A lot of our clients have a wide variety, and some obviously also work across many different fields and not only specifically in one. And we like to pride ourselves knowing that regardless of which of these fields our clients may be in, we are always there to lend a helping hand when necessary. So just wrapping back around to the partners that we work with, I'm sure all of you guys are very familiar with Autodesk themselves. They provide the actual software that we're going to be doing the demo on today. And then you have the Leica and the BLK. That's an example of it right there. It's a very small unit. I think it weighs like around 1 kilo, very easy to cart around and very simple to use as well. When you see that green bar at the bottom over there, basically that means you're ready to go and you can just do a scan immediately. It takes about not even 5 minutes to set it up and get your first scan ready. The Topcon ones, like I said earlier, they're a little bit different. They're more for the exterior scans and like larger area scans. Very useful, especially on mining and civil projects. So a lot of the clients go that route as opposed to the old-fashioned way of trying to get the points out. And then we're also closely affiliated with IDAS, who are infrastructure design or who offer infrastructure design automation suites, and that basically is more again for the civil clients who are working on road projects or even pipe and stormwater drain designers. And then we get to the CAD learning, where this is what we use for our e-learning, which is a very useful way, especially in industry where you always have your more senior guys and then your more entry or junior guys coming in, and there's always quite a big gap in the skill level and capability between the users. And the software is a very good way to bridge that gap between them, because it allows you to write basically a skills assessment test and get a very clear understanding of, okay, this is where I am and this is where I need help. And the test on CAD learning is very useful, and it does provide you with a learning path afterwards as well to assist you in basically understanding the product better. And this is a very good way that you can then track and refer back to previous tests that you've done to track and make sure that you're heading on the right path, and basically self-improving a lot along the way as well. Okay, so over here we have the Baker-Baines consulting methodology that we believe in. I briefly mentioned it earlier, it's iAdopt. And just a quick and simple overview of it, we believe that the best way to move forward and to help clients is basically to assess not only the people or the products that they're using, but to assess the people, the processes, and the technology. And then once we've established the ground floor basically of, or the ground line of where everyone is and where they would like to get to, then we move on to the educate. And we also educate the people, we educate them on the ideal processes to follow in their business if that is an issue that they're facing, as well as give some suggestions as the best technology, hardware and software that you can basically use going forward to streamline your business. And then once we've finished educating, that doesn't mean that we just disappear. We also obviously believe in consulting and being there for you when you need to ask questions afterwards, because not everyone remembers everything straight away. So we believe in consulting after the initial education bit has been done as well. It's a very good way to reinforce the knowledge and ensure that you have a concrete understanding of everything that is going on, especially with the new change of management that will obviously come around doing one of these iAdopt situations as well. So this is a list of some new features and enhancements that we'll find in Revit 2021. On the left of here, you can see it says platform, and I've bolded and underlined some items that we're just going to have a brief look at. Like I did say, we're not going to be able to cover everything. So the list on the left is on the actual platform, and we've put it out like this because that's like a general Revit change that's happened. Whereas on the right, you can see it's more discipline specific. Doesn't mean that those items can only be used in those disciplines specifically, but they're more directed at those. So the ones we're going to have a brief look at is PDF and image linking, customized Revit workspace, row striping for schedules, which is very useful now. A lot of the times when you're working with large schedules, it does get quite difficult to understand and get through all of it, and you always end up losing your space. That helps a lot. Then we're going to have a look at some Dynamo and some of the new nodes that are now found in Dynamo. And then some other features are enable the filters in view, rotate tags with components, and voids cut family geometry. And we can actually assign like a parameter to that now, which is very helpful as well, especially for architects and using it for doors, as door openings as an example. And then we're also going to have a look at generative design and have a quick look, squiz at the slanted walls that have also been added in. So just because I showed the architecture side, that doesn't mean that's the only thing for architecture. I mean, if anything, this Revit 2021 update actually has more updates in there for the engineering field, both for structures and MEP. So we're not going to go into any of these at the moment. I'm just trying to do a very simplistic overview of some of the standard stuff that is found broadly that can be used like across all different disciplines. So if you do want to see any of these specific ones in a future webinar, at the end, my email address will be there. Please feel free to give some suggestions of anything that you would like to see. I'm not going to read through all of these now, but just so that you can have a look and understand exactly what is there. Yeah, so the first question we always get is, should I be upgrading my projects to Revit 2021 yet? And basically, I don't think you should be upgrading your projects, especially the ones that you've been working on for ages. Don't upgrade it straight away to Revit 2021. I do recommend waiting for like the update 2 or Service Pack 2 to come out. And this is mainly because by that time, enough people have like played with it, and Autodesk has done some like changes and updates, and they've eliminated most of the little bugs that tend to creep in. It's like teething issues for new versions. I mean, it's pretty standard across all industries. Even in the automotive industry, you try not to buy the first range of a car that's been released. You always try to buy like the facelift or the upgrade a little bit later on. Same situation here. It's obviously better. You can always download it, and feel free to like detach a model and just to fiddle with it and have an understanding of how it works, get used to it and familiarize yourself with the new features, so that when the time does come that you actually are going to be using it, you're already a couple steps ahead of the competition, and you know that you can just run and fly with it immediately. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at some examples of some of the items that we covered on the actual platform itself. So remember that I had some highlighted ones. Now, the first one that I'm going to have a look at is the annotation text orientation. And as the picture on the right shows, the section marker now, for instance, if you rotate it slightly, the text can actually be told to rotate according to the components as well. A very useful way to just to neaten up your drawing, or if you're trying to read a specific drawing in a certain direction, it makes it a lot easier. Please bear with me. These little tutorials I'm going to show you now I'm doing them live, so if I make a mistake or if I take a bit long to flip between the windows, please forgive me. Okay, so what I've got over here is I've got Autodesk 2020 with the Revit 2021 open, and it's just a simple house that I put together once upon a time. Very basic, nothing too fancy or special. So for the first one that I'm showing you is if we go to the ground floor, and we can see over here is a section marker. Well, let's just put a new section marker in, so we do the whole process together. And there's our section marker being placed in. And if we just rotate this item, doesn't matter. You can see that this section header is still staying straight. So we haven't actually activated the ability for it to rotate yet. So to do that, we need to go to families. Let's go to annotation symbols, and then we go to section head, and we can edit over here. And you can see now on the right-hand side over here, it says rotate text with component. Okay, so we can tick that on and load it into the project. Okay, there it is. And now you can see it's updated over there. So if you were to rotate it again, you can see it updates accordingly. Very useful, nice little thing to quickly get around doing some, just neatening it up a bit. Okay, the next one is the parametric family voids and being able to actually add a parameter into it. So again, I'm just going to quickly over here create a new family. And I'm just going to go to English, and I'm going to use a generic model just for a very quick and basic thing. Very useful, like I said earlier, for those guys who are doing doors, especially the custom doors where you want the cuts to be on or off in certain views. Very good way to do that. So I'm just going to make a very basic extrusion quickly over here. Okay, let's complete that. And I'll go to the 3D view for this extrusion. I'm just going to give it some substance. And what I'm going to do now is just copy it out a bit like so. And just extend it past so that when I do change this into a cut or into a void, that it does actually go through the whole thing. So on the right, obviously, you change it from a solid to a void, like so. And then you cut this geometry with this one. Okay. Now you can see that I have actually, in fact, cut it off. So now if I select this, you can see over here, there's a cut geometry and there's a tick on or off that wasn't necessarily there before. So if I tick it off, then you can see it hasn't made the cuts yet. Okay, so I can tick it back on. Now, the nice thing is I can also now add a new parameter to this. So I can say over here, cut is on, or just cut on. Like so. And I can change this group parameter setting over here to visibility and change it to an instance because I don't necessarily want it to do it for all the types. If I just want to do it for this one specific one, and I can say okay. Say okay. All right. Now when I load this into my project, just make sure I've selected the correct project there. You can see I'll just place it over here. Okay. Now if I select this item, you'll see over here under visibility, it's now given me this option where I can now tick it on and off for the cut to be put in there or not. Very useful. It saves a lot of time, especially for the architects that are trying to do different designs and need, as an example, for the doors to get cut or the windows even, or anything of the sorts. The next thing we're going to have a look at is linking PDFs and images and importing PDFs and images. So I'm just going to have a look at something very basic. Oopsie, sorry. Back into Revit over here. So on my ground floor, if you go to manage and then manage links, you can now see that there's new tabs opened up over here for PDFs and images. So these are images that are already saved in, and you can see these ones are imported, the reference type, and not necessarily linked. But to add the image or the PDF in, it's the same process as what you would have always followed in the past. So again, I'm just going to add a very simple image in over here quickly. Let's just choose a random one. There we go. Ask the right question, say okay. And there you can see I've now linked it in, gives you the size and the type of path that it is and this path. It's the same as basically a regular link, whether it was a CAD format or a Revit link or DWF or anything of the sorts. It works exactly the same, very useful. And with a link, like a link as well, you can unload it or reload it if it does update or if you need to remove it so you don't have to delete it completely out. It does really save a lot of time. Okay, so that's now linked into the model as well. Okay, so obviously with the linking part, you can also import it. Doesn't mean that you have to only link it. So if we go back there again, sorry, just forgive me for a second. You can go insert over here and you can see there's your options for link, PDF, link image, and then on the import section, import PDF, import image. Now, I'm not too sure if it's as bad, like I'm a firm believer of not importing a CAD, so you won't find me too often when I can avoid it. I won't be importing the PDFs and images just because then it's like bounded into your model and it eventually, especially if you're working on bigger projects, it will definitely slow down your model if you have too many images and PDFs brought in. Rather keep the links. That way you can also place them onto a specific work set, and then when you open it, you can open it with certain work sets turned on or off. Okay, the next thing we're going to have a quick look at is slanted walls, which is everyone's dream come true. I don't know how many people have been wanting slanted walls. I know I have, especially when I was still working in industry as a designer. I often wish that there was something like slanted walls. Obviously for the structures guys, they always had the slanted columns, or they had the slanted columns in previously, but now there's also the slanted walls. So I'm sure in future we'll also see a lot more fancy designs coming through from architects being able to use that a bit more freely. All right, so if I just draw a regular wall in over here, you can see it's pretty much standard, straight up and down. But over here, once you select it, you can go into your properties and you can have a look at the cross section over here where it says vertical. And you can just simply change that to slanted now, and then you can give it an angle. So if I say 15 degrees, okay, I'm going to go into 3D for this one. It's a little bit easier to spot it. See, there we go. And that's not the only one I'm going to do. I'm also going to show you that you're also able to do a slanted wall as an arc, like so. Again, just change the cross section to slanted, and then over here we can just change this angle to 15 as well. Makes it very simple, nice to use. So if we have a look at it in 3D, there's our slanted wall at an angle and it's curved. Okay, a lot of questions now are, but Armand, what happens when you're putting a door in? So let's put a door in and see. I'm just going to put a regular door in over here. There's it. So place it in, and in plan view, you can already see like it just doesn't look 100% right. I mean, the door frame's over here, but the wall's over here. So we go to 3D and we're like, oh, cook, this isn't working. So basically a quick way to do that is select your door. I'm just going to do one at a time. And then over here, you can see the orientation. You can change that to vertical. I can't because I've got my webinar toolpad on the side there, but you can change that to slanted, and then you'll see it'll automatically fit in to there as well. So it looks perfect. There we go. So I'm sure for all the architects out there, we'll be seeing a lot more fancy designs coming through in the building space with this feature that now allows us to slant these walls. I'm actually looking forward to seeing some of the new buildings in the next few years to come through. All right, the next thing that we're going to have a look at is schedule improvements. Now, some of these are just like you can highlight the selected row, you can freeze the header, so that if you have a very long schedule, you can actually see what's like line or column you're in, even if you're halfway down, which before in Revit was a problem, which they have definitely sorted out now, and it's super easy to use. And the row stripe control, I have definitely fell victim to. I don't know how many times you're trying to like have a look at a specific row in Revit, and it's not like it's difficult to like clearly look with your eyes, and you end up having to highlight the whole thing. Don't have to do that anymore. And then zoom controls, you can now zoom in and out of schedules. So let's have a look. Okay, let's just close or minimize these areas again, and just go to a typical schedule. So yeah, this window schedule should be fine. Okay, first thing I'm going to do over here is I'm just going to go to sorting and grouping. I'm going to itemize every instance, and this is just to get some substance there. So the first thing I'd like to point out is on the bottom right of the screen, you can see there's now 100% zoomed, or I'm zoomed 100%, whereas before that was never there. So simply hold and control, it's the easiest one, and roll forward on your mouse, and you'll be able to see that it just zooms in nicely. And I've now zoomed into 250%. Now, like I was saying earlier, if I scroll down, my header is disappearing. So over here, they've now added in this lovely freeze header. So if I click on that and I scroll down, my header stays there. So very useful, very simple to use. They really made it feel a lot like actually using Excel as well. And sometimes that is a very nice thing to be able to have. Another thing is if I select this window over here, you can see it like highlights the entire row for me. I no longer have to go and like try and move my mouse across to see if it's working or not. Very simple. You can just see exactly what's happening and exactly which row you are on. So if we go now to appearance, we can see over here the stripe row. So I have got it ticked off. So if we just tick it on there and then we just change our first row color to green, it's a bit bright. And then our second row color, we can change it to, I don't know, just change it to like that blue. So it's contrasting a bit, say okay. And definitely haven't chosen very nice colors, but you can clearly see over there now, it's very easy to look down the schedule and understand like easily which, like not get lost basically trying to look across the rows. So that's a very useful update that they've done with regards to these schedules. They were very clunky before, and sometimes people would get like frustrated working with them, but now it's like a breeze. I mean, it's really simplified. It's all quite a lot. All right, next thing we're going to have a look at is filters to be able to enable them in view. So you can see over here, there's a new little tick box. This is very useful because previously, we'll have a look at an example, but previously you'd have to like remove the filter completely if you didn't want it active anymore. But now there's a simple tick box. So let's go back over here. Okay, so if I'm just going to stay in this view. Okay, I'm not going to select anything. And I'm going to go here. I'm just going to create a very quick filter. So over here, I'm going to say new. I'm just going to call it walls. Okay, I'm going to call it walls 2 because I've used it before over there. And I'm just going to make sure that check none to make sure that nothing incorrect is ticked and then just tick that. Okay, and then add rules, walls. I'm really not too fussed. I want to choose them all, so it's okay. All right, and then say okay, and then add. We can just select the walls over there. And now we can see we've got this enable filter option here. So if I change my surface transparency over here to, I don't know, not quite 100, but just so that you can see it work. You can see all the walls have been made transparent, and it's quite nice. I mean, often people use settings and like use filters for different things. And then when you were done previously, you'd have to like click on it and remove it, which just meant when you want to use it again, you had to like go through the whole process of adding it in again. Whereas now we can just disable the filter by ticking it off and say okay, and then there we go. It just pops straight back to usual. So that's definitely made it a lot more user-friendly in that instance, especially when you're constantly flipping between filters for different views, or you're trying to see different things. Sometimes it can take quite a while to get the filter, like remove the filter and add the new filter, and then remove it and go back to the previous filter that you had on. Whereas now, I mean, it's as simple as just basically ticking it on or off. So they've definitely improved that quite a bit as well. The next thing here, I can't show you this actual pop-up, but Revit has now got the ability to somewhat customize your user interface. And it's very nice, especially for people working in like a specific discipline, like whether if you're an architect or a structural engineer or someone who works in MEP, you know, basically that's a good way that they've done a really good job now being able to customize it so that it removes or reduces the amount of information you actually see on your tool tab. I can't show you this image on the right here because that's when you install it, that's what comes up. And then you can decide from there whether or not you would like to customize your user interface. If you chose to do it, it's not a problem. You can also go back and change it, or if you haven't chosen to do it, it's very simple. We can just change it. So over here, you can see I've got all the different sections or disciplines in Revit still, so architecture, structure, systems. If I go to File, Options, and then to the user interface over here, I can actually see that, say for instance, I'm an architect, I can actually just simply switch off all these other tabs that I'm not going to be using. So I might still use massing and sites, but I'm not going to use energy analysis. You might use root analysis. So we'll just say, okay. And there we go. You can see the other unnecessary tabs, they're now gone. So it just makes it a lot more user-friendly. And also, I think this will help a lot, like with the newer guys that come onto Revit. I mean, it can be daunting if you've never used it before, or you've just come out of college and you just see all of these tabs and you're just flipping through these tabs and there's hundreds of different options and no one knows, like, you don't know what's going on. To simplify it and make it a lot easier, you can just go take the unnecessary ones away that you don't have to worry about. It's less clutter, it's like quicker and easier, and you don't have to worry about accidentally clicking on the wrong type of wall, as an example, if you had to click on the structural wall instead of the architectural wall. So I'm just going to turn it back on because obviously for someone like me who's showing and teaching a lot of people and assisting guys in their work, I need to have all my tabs open. Also, I'm super familiar with it, so it looks more natural with the current way that it is. Okay, so that's like a quick way that you can customize your user interface. It does simplify it quite a bit. Definitely a good tool to have, and I'm pretty sure many people have wondered about this in the past, why you can't turn certain things on and off. I remember back in the day, you used to have a Revit dedicated for structures and dedicated for architecture and stuff like that, whereas now it's all being combined, and then there were like so many settings. Now it's still combined, except you can kind of reduce the amount of information you see on your user interface. Okay, so now we're going to go into the architecture side of things a little bit more. Like I said, just blanket statements. These items that I'm covering here are not specifically only for architects. I mean, any discipline can use them. Okay, realistic mode has been reworked. And what this means is there's no more ray trace. So you can actually have a really good look at almost like render quality images just by using the realistic mode now. Whereas before, the realistic mode wasn't as crisp or as clear as what it could have been. Now it has really been updated a lot. It's been completely overhauled, essentially. So it's a completely new new option now compared to what it was before. So I'm just going to have a look. I'm not going to use this. I am going to use the sample Revit project just because it's probably a bit neater. And there's more information on there that you can see nice and clearly. And I am just going to make my life easy. Sorry. Over here, I'm just going to pop a camera view. Which way should we look at the couch? This way. Okay. Pop a camera view in this way. And there it is. And I'm just going to basically just adjust it so I can see what I want to see. All right, there we go. So now we can see the projection mode here is in perspective. Obviously, you'd like to keep that as like when you're trying to get like images made or renderings made. Obviously, you want to have it in perspective. Otherwise, it's just going to be a flat drawing, and it isn't as visually appealing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to change my level of detail to fine to ensure that everything on all the different objects brought in is on its best level so you can see clearly. And then I'm going to change my graphic display to realistic. Now, this may take a second for my PC to do it, but I mean, overall, it's whichever way you look at it, it's still a lot quicker than the conventional way of trying to open the ray trace and making sure that everything's done properly and then trying to create a render from there. So just bear with me for a second while this ticks over. It shouldn't be too much longer. There we go. Okay, so once you've got this, you can already see it's a lot better than what the original one was. And then you can go to graphic display options and you can change it so I can smooth the lines, take the show edges off. You can add a transparency if you'd like. You can cast a shadow or show ambient shadows, excuse me, if you'd like. The lighting, I mean, we can go into interior artificial lights only. So basically you don't have any sun to worry about. And then we can put these lights on over here as well. And then the background over here, we can just give a little background because I mean, we can see out the window. So let's just give it a sky. Okay, just move that up, say okay. And we just wait for a bit. It might be a bit dark. Nope, there it is. It's a little bit dark, but I mean, I do only have the interior lights on. So you can see it's a lot better. It's almost like a complete render of like that you used to have to do before, like a quick render just to get a view like this, whereas now it's actually just part of the realistic way or realistic mode, which has definitely helped a lot. And it's definitely sped up and streamlined the whole situation a lot more than what it previously was. So it's very useful just to, if you need to quickly get some views done, to use this new realistic tool as opposed to trying to render things or use any other programs. It's all built straight into Revit now, and it's just made a lot more user-friendly and simple to use. So keep that in mind as well. I mean, that works for structures, guys. I mean, I've got a structural background. I know that we've done some renderings of our buildings before. Yeah, they look like skeletons, but they're really nice. So just to go back to our slideshow. So that's the realistic mode. It's completely reworked, as you see now. It doesn't have that cartoony look to it like what it used to have, and it wasn't like up to scratch. Whereas now, I mean, it's exceeding expectations almost just for the time that it takes to quickly get a half decent view out of it. Okay, the next thing over here is, or it's a new addition to Revit, completely new. I'm sure a lot of people have actually had a look at this generative design tool, or at least like heard of it. Basically, you can use generative design directly in Revit now to quickly generate like various designs or alternative designs, and you can easily see which is the best layout for the specific design that you want. And there's a whole lot of like parameters that you can input for identifying the different things that you want your design to see, whether that's maximizing floor space used or maximizing the amount of space that's or the amount of window views that you can have. It's a very useful tool to see all of that. Okay, so I do see there is a question popped up. I will get to it later. Sorry, I'm not going to answer it right now. So basically, with the new generative design tool, you can use the generative design to quickly evaluate different design options. And as you can see over here, it's very quick and easy to use. Now, I do need to say, I'm not going to do a physical video on this because it does take a few steps to get everything right and put all the information in. So it's not going to be covered in this webinar. I do, however, have a video directly from Autodesk, which I will play for you, and hopefully the sound does work for it this time. So this is it over here, and then I'm just going to play it now, and hopefully everyone can hear it.
Introducing new generative design capabilities, now available in Revit 2021 with the AEC collection. With Revit's generative design capabilities, you can rapidly generate design alternatives based on your constraints and inputs. Then explore, optimize, and make informed decisions with your team. You'll get started with ready-made studies that you can use to explore and generate design alternatives based on your desired outcomes. Specify your goals, then leverage the power of generative design to create multiple design options. You and your team can explore and evaluate those options against your goals. And if you didn't get it quite right the first time, you can quickly iterate by running the generative design process again, tweaking the inputs and goals to find the best solution possible. These ready-made studies are starting points. You can completely customize these studies and add new ones through Dynamo to help meet your own studio and office-specific standards and challenges. For example, maybe your client wants to expand their building with a new wing. You need to optimize rentable space while minimizing cost. Generative design can help find the best outcome. Then you can take your design right into Revit for further development. Or maybe you're designing a new office and need to maximize the number of desks but minimize the distance to exits. Generative design can help you quickly create options based on your most important metrics, like desk count and aisle width, so you can find the most desirable solution. And if your client wants tenants to have great window views from inside the office, generative design can help identify the best spot to place furniture. You'll generate viewpoints in various locations, then use the graph to rank designs based on what matters to you most. These studies are completely customizable, and new studies can be added via Dynamo so you can create and discuss design options with your team. With generative design in Revit, you have the power to bring outcome-based decision-making to your design studies. Start using generative design with the AEC collection today.
All right, so that's the quick video. Thankfully it worked. I'm just going to go to the next one now. So basically a takeaway, of the generative design. A good takeaway is to remember that you can use the generative design tool now, which is part of Revit. It does open up a pop-out window. So it's still part of Revit. I mean, the functionality is found in Revit. I will show you now when I start the next demonstration where you can find the tools to start it. But it's a quick way to quickly evaluate different design options. I mean, that's the one main takeaway of it, and that is its main use at the end. Okay, the next thing we're going to have a look at is path of travel. Now, this has really been updated so nicely and is so much easier to use now, and it does calculate a lot of items for you as well. So if we just go back to this project that we've got over here. Okay, so as an example, if I wanted to go to the, I did say I would show you the generative design, sorry. So under the Manage tab, the generative design tools are here. You can create a study there, or you can explore existing outcomes. So very useful to use. If you click on that, then it pops up a little window, a separate window that you can use, almost similar to Dynamo. Okay, but now for us, we're just going to try and do a path of travel over here. So path of travel found under the Analyze tab. So if I wanted to walk from, say this is a garage area, basically I wanted to walk down to there, you can see it spits out a nice route for you. Now, this is nothing new, it's always done this before. So the enhancements have now come where you can now select the line and it tells you your length over here automatically, the time it takes to walk there. Or if you look up at the top here, you can add new waypoints. So if you add a waypoint onto your line, you'll see it adds another node on, and I mean, you can add a node onto there. And it will automatically recalculate the length and everything for you. And you can also, if I had to quickly add in a component, what's this? This is my family that I had previously. Let's just put a desk in here quickly, right there. If I wanted a component to walk around this, I can add a waypoint and say I want to walk here, and then from here I want to walk this way around the desk. You'll see it'll very nicely just move around the object for you, so you don't have to go and change it for you. It kind of just updates it nicely for you, gives you the nice length output over here and the total time and average speed of the movements for that path that you've now selected. So that's a very useful tool. It sure saves drawing out detail lines and measuring each one and trying to get a total length from that, or guesstimate the time that it takes by how long your walkthrough is. It's a very quick way of just getting a quick and easy answer out of it. So again, if you go back to the Analyze tab, you can also reveal obstacles that are in the way. And now there is like a specific range of obstacles that it will pick up, and you can see it's highlighted the obstacles in orange. So it's a very good way of understanding why it's going a certain route, or if you want to see, is this an obstacle or is it not classified as an obstacle, then you'll be able to see over here. There's obviously a range of which is classified as obstacles and which not. So I'm sure if you have something hanging too low from the roof, it'll pick it up as an obstacle. All right, and then to switch it off, you just toggle that option back off again. So very nice, very useful way of quickly getting a path of travel and all the relevant information you need from it. Okay, again with Dynamo, I'm not going to physically go in and create a bunch of scripts, but just what I want us to have a quick look at over here is the new Dynamo Revit nodes. And basically what they've done here is the 10 most commonly requested nodes, they've now been added into Revit. And these are the ones that the guys are like, why can't we have this? This should be like a standard thing that's included. Autodesk has now included it, so it really makes your life a lot easier, so that you can basically improve your productivity from using Dynamo and task automation. And it's very nice. So just to run through some of them over here, I mean, you can see which elements are joined, and you can select all joined elements, and there's like options where you can specify whether it's joined or not joined, select if it's pinned or unpinned. You can edit the pin status. So there's just a bunch of nice ones over here that I'm sure you guys will also have a lot of fun with using going forward, and which will save you a lot of time as well. Because there's a lot of times where you receive a model from someone, another person is working on it, and they've just decided to pin everything. Over here, this is a quick, simple way of gathering all those pinned items as an example and switching it off. It does save a lot of time and increases your work productivity through using the Dynamo task automation service that is available. So definitely give it a bash, have some fun with it, play around, see how you can make it work for you. It's a very useful tool indeed, and I know a lot of people are busy using it, and it is the future. Okay, a very quick and simple thing on the work sharing side of things. BIM 360 Access has now been included on the Revit 2021 homepage. So if I just go back here to my homepage and just close everything else, say no, you don't want to save any of this. Oopsie, needed to say no there. Okay, do you want to save the project? No. So you can see over here, there's now recent files, and there's also a BIM 360 option. So I can click on there and go directly into my BIM 360 cloud models. And then as you see your latest ones over here, you'll also see recent ones that you've opened and closed over here as well, straight from your BIM 360 platform. Okay, BIM 360 design servers are now also, or BIM 360 design is now also available in the European servers. So that's quite nice as well. And MEP items now, MEP now checks out connected elements when you are busy doing work sharing, so that you're not both working on the same thing at the same time. Okay, so that's a wrap for some of those new things that we were going to cover on Revit What's New. Again, remember, it's not everything, so please do have a look at everything that is there. Take your time, play with it, get an understanding of it, and then when that second update or Service Pack 2 has come out, jump onto it and take full advantage of the fact that you have all these new features now. And don't forget, if you're going to upgrade your model to Revit 2021, don't forget you cannot save it back down to Revit 2020 once you're done with it. So please be very careful with your projects. The Baker Bain support We're available Monday to Friday from 8 o'clock in the morning to 11:30 at night. That's our telephone number over there and our email address. We are very vigilant at getting back to customers as soon as possible. So feel free, if you're having some technical issues or anything of the sorts with your software, give us a shout and we can definitely help you out quickly there. If you want to follow us online, follow our online presence, we're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Forgot to mention that all our videos will get uploaded, or all our webinars will get uploaded onto the Baker Bain's YouTube site. So as an example, if you want to look back to something in this video, it will be uploaded onto YouTube. So you're more than welcome to go there and have a look. And you'll see there's plenty other videos online as well that you can have a look at. And it might even answer some questions about some things that you've been struggling with for a while and no one seems to know the answer. Feel free to go there and have a look. Okay, so now we've come to the part where there's questions. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask now, and then I'll see if I can answer them as good as possible. If I can't, then I will ask you to please just send, basically send an email with your question if I don't get around to it, or if there's something that you'd like to ask, maybe not on here, feel free. My email address will be on the next slide, so we are able to do it. Okay, so there's a question here. It's actually a very good question from Nicholas over here saying, hi, do the PDFs have the same program function as an image, only background or foreground setting? No. Actually, you can use the PDFs to take certain, like if you get a PDF from a sub-consultant with some, like a floor plan, or as an example, you can actually bring that PDF in and you can make it like an active item where you're able to dimension straight off of the PDF, as long as the scales and everything are obviously the same. So it's a very useful tool to do that with as well. Okay, are there any other questions? So I got one over here saying, you say you have a note with multiple leaders. Is there a way to delete a particular leader without having to delete all recent ones first? I'm going to be honest with you, I have not seen that they've brought that in. It would be so useful to have that in, because sometimes, like you say, you need to that note is pointing to 3 or 4 different areas, and you just want to remove it off of one specific one, and you don't want to redo all of it. Unfortunately, I don't think there is a way yet. If I am wrong, please forgive me, but I will definitely look into it for future reference as well. It is definitely a good question that is asked. Does anyone else have any other questions? I don't see any more coming through. Okay, well, I don't see any more questions coming through. So basically, if you want to keep in touch, please do. This is me. My primary focus is Revit, BIM 360, AutoCAD, and Navisworks, with my secondary focus being Civil 3D, Vehicle Tracking, InfraWorks, Recap, and 3D scanning. On LinkedIn, you can put my name in and find me over there. And that's my work email address for any questions or queries that you have going forward. Maybe it's something I didn't answer over here, or it's something that you'd like to find out some more information on. Please feel free to let me know over here. And then also just a reminder again that all the webinar recordings are uploaded to our YouTube channel, so feel free to go and have a look over there as well. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, everyone. Again, my name is Armand van Rooyen, and I'm the BIM Technical Specialist for Baker Bain. Thanks for coming, and everyone just keep safe, and we'll hear from you guys soon.